This is the story history forgot. This is the lost chapter. April 2nd, 1982. Before dawn, Argentine special forces landed on a remote windswept archipelago in the South Atlantic. They outnumbered the 57 Royal Marines, defending it 20-1. After a brief, fierce firefight, the British governor surrendered. When the news reached London, it sparked a political earthquake. Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher faced a monumental decision. To lose this territory would be a humiliating blow to Britain's standing in the world. To retake it would mean launching the most audacious naval operation since World War II. Her response would define her legacy and change two nations forever. To understand this war, you must understand what was really at stake. To Britain, they were the Falkland Islands, a British overseas territory. To Argentina, they were the Islas Malvinas, a symbol of national identity and a stolen territory. But in 1982, for Argentina's ruling military junta, the islands were more than a symbol. The country was in crisis, economic collapse, soaring inflation, and widespread public discontent with a brutal dictatorship. The junta, led by General Leopoldo Galtieri, was teetering on the brink. They calculated that a swift, patriotic victory would unite the nation behind them. They believed Britain, a distant European power preoccupied with the Cold War, would never fight for a tiny colony 8,000 miles away. It was a desperate gamble for political survival. It was a miscalculation of historic proportions. For Thatcher, the principle was non-negotiable. Aggression could not be rewarded. The sovereignty of British people could not be violated. Defeat? She would later say. The possibility did not exist. What followed was one of the most incredible logistical feats of modern warfare. In just 3 days, a British task force was assembled. Over 100 ships, including aircraft carriers, destroyers, and troop ships, carrying 30,000 personnel. The journey alone took 3 weeks. They were sailing into the heart of the South Atlantic winter, into some of the most treacherous seas on Earth. And they were doing it with one critical weakness: a severe lack of air power. The first major combat was a shock. On May 2nd, the British nuclear submarine HMS Conqueror located the Argentine cruiser, the General Belgrano. Despite being outside the official exclusion zone, the ship was deemed a threat. The order came from London. The Conqueror fired 3 torpedoes, 2 hit. 323 Argentine sailors lost their lives in the freezing water. The sinking was, and remains, highly controversial. But its military effect was immediate and total. The entire Argentine surface fleet turned around and retreated to port for the rest of the war. Now, the Argentine Air Force had to carry the fight alone. And they did so with breathtaking bravery. Flying at wave-top height to avoid radar, they pressed their attacks against heavily defended warships. Their most feared weapon was the French-made Exocet missile. On May 4th, an Exocet struck the destroyer HMS Sheffield. The missile didn't even explode, but its burning rocket fuel tore through the ship. 20 sailors died. The Sheffield sank, a stark symbol of modern warfare's brutality. After securing a beachhead at San Carlos Bay, dubbed Bomb Alley for the constant air attacks, the British began their push across the islands. The land battles were short, sharp, and brutal. At Goose Green, the 2nd Battalion Parachute Regiment launched a daring bayonet charge against dug-in Argentine positions, achieving a victory that became the stuff of legend. The final push was on the mountains surrounding the capital, Stanley. After fierce night battles at places like Wireless Ridge and Mount Tumbledown, the Argentine defenses crumbled. On June 14, 1982, they surrendered. The human cost was stark: 255 British and 649 Argentine lives, and 3 Falkland Islanders. But the political consequences were seismic. In Argentina, the junta fell, paving the way for a return to democracy. In Britain, national pride was restored, and Margaret Thatcher's government was re-elected in a landslide. The Falklands War was a conflict born of desperation, fought with immense courage on both sides, that reshaped the destinies of 2 nations. It was the last great battle of the old empire, and it proved that even in the late 20th century, willpower could still change the world. This has been The Lost Chapter, the story of 74 days that defined a decade.